So with that, we've always done it alphabetical order to make it fair. That way there's there's no impartiality. We, as you know, we don't endorse any candidates. I also want to make it clear, because it is known that there are a few of our board members that have been working on some of the people's campaigns. If we had a board meeting this month, they would have been recused from the board meeting. That is our standard practice. Just to make the transparency even more so, because of the storm, we did not have our board meeting this month. So that's very good as far as everybody being totally sure of the transparency. It wasn't so great for me since I was up writing these questions until about 2 o'clock last night. But I just wanted to make sure that everybody was clear of that that's our rules and that's how we do it. So with that, I'd like you all to please, I'll bring up all 6 candidates. If you can wait until they get up here and then give them a warm welcome, I'd appreciate you doing that. And the first candidate to come up is Ms. Sharon Gorey. And after her, Ms. Laura Moss. Randy Old. Lang Sykes. Norman Wells. And Tony Young. And now, if you all would all please give them a nice warm welcome for joining us. Okay, with that, I'll just go very quickly over the format. Everybody is going to have a 1.5-minute introduction. Feel free to either stand or seat, whichever is more comfortable to you. All I can ask is, because we do have a big audience and not everybody has as big a mouth as I do, if you would just try to speak up as close to the mic as you feel comfortable to, so that everybody in the back can hear you. That's a big help, so that all the people that are here know where you stand. So with that, we're going to have a 1.5-minute introduction from all of the candidates. We'll then have a series of questions that will alternate going on down as far as who goes first, and everybody will have 1.5 minutes to respond. Ms. Seeley will let you know when you have 30 seconds left. She'll then hold up her hand like this to let you know when you're done. If you're in mid-sentence, please go ahead and finish, but try to keep it in time so that we can get questions in that we have. And then everybody will have a 1-minute summary at the end, where we'll be starting with Tony and working our way back down for fairness, so that everything is in place. So everybody will have a chance to answer one question first, and then we'll be doing, like I said, the order of the introductions and the summations in that order. So with that, we're going to start with you, Sharon. You'll get to have the chance to do the first introduction. And again, like I said, it's up to everybody. If they just want to stay seated while everybody else is speaking, that's probably the easiest. And then when it comes time for you to talk, if you want to stand up and speak, feel free. It's totally up to you.
Thank you, and I want to thank the Taxpayers Association of Indian River County. I think this is a great service that we give to our community, and Mr. Kistler for his diligence. My name is Sharon Shelton Glory. I was born and raised in Vero Beach. I love this city. I remember as a child riding our bikes and exploring without a care in the world, and it was just a wonderful place to grow up. I would like it to remain that way for our children of today. I know it's changed, and change does come, but it doesn't have to explode. As some history, my grandparents built the first motel, the Travelers Motel down on US 1. I believe the IHOP sits there now. My grandparents also built the Frosty Manor, which the old timers will remember. And it was just a great place for hangouts. And some of the kids from the 50s are going to remember going there Sunday after church. And I have 30 seconds left. I had left Vero for some time and came back 8 years ago. During my time away, I gave my time to community service, no matter where we lived. I have, since I've been back here, attended the Citizens Academy for the Sheriff's Department, and as well have become certified, which is the Citizens Emergency Response Team. The things our community offers is just wonderful, and I would appreciate you considering my vote.
Laura Moss. First, I'd like to thank the city staff for their efforts during and after the hurricane. We were blessed that it wasn't any worse than it was. And I'm not going to get into adjectives to tell you who I am. I'll tell you what I do. I'm chairwoman of the Utilities Commission, so I have an in-depth knowledge. For people who don't know the Utilities Commission, it oversees and gives advice. It's an advisory board to City Council for not only electric, but also water and sewer and solid waste. And as chairwoman, really, it's an honor and a pleasure because, boy, it is a smart, spirited group, and I just love it. And coincidentally, it's a very happy coincidence, as chairwoman, I get to set the agenda and run the meetings. And guess what? Those are the duties of mayor. Mayor, as you might not know, is a ceremonial position. That's the job of the mayor. So coincidentally, happy coincidence. But I'm also the communications director for the steering committee at the Circle at the Vero Beach Museum of Art. That's a big love of mine, college and after. I'm also literacy outreach director for the Oceanside Rotary, as well as on the board of directors of Taxpayers. So while I might not be as historical as some of the people here, I definitely can hit the ground running. I'm well known and very active in the community, and God knows I love it. I mean, I just do. The people here are just so amazing. I have some stories that I hope I get to tell later. I have a few hurricane stories that are just incredible. And I'm going to stop now. Thank you.
I do want to make one thing clear, because I had said that about our meetings earlier. Laura, whenever anybody announces that they're running for office, as soon as they announce that they're running, they have to step down off our board. So Laura has been a member, but I just want to make that perfectly clear that everybody is clear on that for transparency's sake, that they do step down off our board as soon as that. I just want to make sure that was clear to all the candidates. So, okay, go ahead, Randy.
My name is Randy Old. I'm an incumbent. I was on the city council for the last couple of years. I'm married for 50 years. My wife Jody's in the back of the room. I have 5 grandchildren. I have 3 children. I went to the University of North Carolina, was in the Army, was a Japanese linguist in the Army, had Chinese in college, and Chase Bank picked me up, and we lived in Singapore for a number of years, lending money to petroleum companies, and I went to Tokyo for a few years, and then back to New York for more training, and opened a branch in the Middle East in Jordan. I've done a lot in Jordan and in the Middle East over the last number of years. I still run an archaeological institute there, and I run the Vero Man site here. During this last couple of years with the City Council, it's been very good for me in terms of learning about the area, learning about Vero Beach. I originally came here 50 years ago to ask for my wife's hand from her father who lived here, and I've been coming ever since then. We've lived here permanently year-round from 2008 till now, and we enjoy it very much. I would very much like to be on the committee again this next year. I think that through planning and business, there's an awful lot that I can do. Vero Beach's budget is $20 million. The business that it runs is another $120 million, so 6 times the size of the city. So it needs somebody who has a business background. I have a pretty strong business background. I'd like to be a member of the council again. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. I want to thank Taxpayers Association and John for doing this forum. Certainly a wonderful opportunity to get a chance to hear the ideas from all the candidates. My name is Lang Sykes. I'm running for one of the Vero Beach City Council seats. I'm a lifelong resident here and small business owner. Many of you may recall recently I just ran to be your next state representative, and though I won't be representing you in Tallahassee, I'm extremely passionate about the issues that I ran on, and many of those were local issues. I feel this seat is a great opportunity to lend my leadership and bring a unified front to our city council. I've been discouraged by the interaction with some of our local governments in years past, and it's time for us to present a unified front. There are really 3 issues that are extremely important to me, and those are completing the sale of our Vero Beach electric system. We'll go into details later. Stopping all aboard Florida from coming through this community is imperative, and improving the health of our Indian River Lagoon. And although that's a major project and a regional one, it's an area of expertise for me, and I'd like to bring that expertise and leadership to the Vero Beach City Council. So November 8th, I'm asking for your vote, and thank you for your time today.
Good afternoon. I want to thank you for the opportunity to stand before you and speak today. My name is Norman Wells. I've been in the community for almost 50 years. I grew up here, I worked here, and I retired here. I spent 32 years as a professional firefighter. My last job responsibility, I was a battalion chief of operations where I managed 74 people and 12 stations. I'm a fiscally conservative person. I believe that a republic is based on the power of the people, and our elected officials should do the will of the people. And I will do the will of the people. I represent you. I'm an elected, I should be, hopefully be elected official, and I will represent you with honor and dignity. I have a bachelor's degree from the University of Cincinnati. I've sat on several boards throughout the community. I was on the Samaritan Center Board, the Exchange Club Board. I was on the City of Vero Beach Fire Pension Board, so I have an understanding about unfunded liabilities and some of the pension issues that we face. I currently sit on the Planning and Zoning Board, and I look forward to the opportunity to serve you, and I would appreciate your vote on November 8th. I'm a fiscally conservative person, I want to point that out, and I will do the will of the people. I work for you, and I hope to work for you in the future. Thank you.
Good afternoon. It's a good day to be here. Hurricane helps reset your priorities. I had the opportunity to learn a little bit about John Kistler. He has a lot of the same background that I do, except he's 10 years younger. For those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Anthony W. Young, Tony Young, and in 1919, my grandfather was the first mayor of Vero Beach, and he also helped design this golf course that you're sitting in. I went to St. Helens. It's a block from my house. I know Vero Beach. I know Indian River County. Uncle Tony was author of Indian River County. So if you look at somebody that's invested in this community, invested in this county, you will not find an individual who's more vested than myself. If you look at experience, I've been in Baghdad and understand what the value of peace is. I've been in Bosnia and I understand what the value of our soldiers are. There are 15,457 veterans in Indian River County. There's 2,088 veterans in Vero Beach. I will represent those constituents and you as I go forward, and I think you can have confidence that my experience in 30 years in the Army will hold you in good stead. Thank you.
Thank you all. The first question is going to go to Sharon, and like I said, the next question will first go to Laura. That way everybody will have a chance to answer a question first, and everybody will have a chance to answer the question last. So, as a Taxpayers Association, our first question focuses on the city budget. The past 2 years have seen property tax increases of roughly 25% and 10% when the rollback rate, which takes into account rising property values, is factored in. Where do you see tax policy headed in the future? For example, what areas may need more revenue, and is there anything that could be trimmed or operated more efficiently in order to offset potential future tax raises?
Thank you. The tax increase this year was solely to fund the OPEB, which is the other employee benefits for the retirees. So they are fully funded. I don't know what would be coming up that would need a tax increase in the future. I do know that next year some of the loans are going to be paid off, so there will be funding available for the needs of the infrastructure. Sorry, could you repeat the entire question again?
The rest was like you were just saying, if there was anything, a project that you had thought that maybe need more revenue, if so, would you see that being funded through future tax raises, or did you see any areas in the budget that could be either trimmed or operated more efficiently so that tax raises were not needed?
Okay, well, as I was saying, I don't see at this point, unless something catastrophic happens, a need for the taxes to be raised again. They were raised very minimally. If I'm not mistaken, it comes to about $12 a year for 100,000 homes, for 100,000 value of a home. So the city is in the process of paying down things. Once Dodgertown is sold, they will have extra funding from that they will be able to put into their infrastructure. So, you know, other than maybe needs that the police may have, or, you know, our enterprise funds are pretty well self-funding and seem to be taking care of themselves, and we are among the lowest as far as taxes for the city anyway.
Lauren Ross. You know, this year was an unusual year. Last year I was completely against the tax increase. This year I am glad that they put money aside to make that promise good with regard to the unfunded pension liabilities. The other thing I think that was important was to raise the starting salaries of the police department. They were very low, around $34,000, and we were competing with other neighboring police forces where it's $40,000. So they just couldn't get anybody. They couldn't get and keep good people. So those I think were important. But the rest of it, no way. I think it's very irresponsible to be adding people, adding staff at a time when we have these huge unfunded pension liabilities, and they did. They took the opportunity with the closing of the power plant to add quite a number of people, actually, and I'm definitely not in favor of adding more lawyers. For God's sakes, haven't we had enough of that? Here's the memorandum dated July 7th. They're adding one new position in the city attorney's office, a position in planning, more positions in public works. There was a 1% increase in health insurance rates. I mean, it's just, you know, the more people you add, the more money you're going to have to spend. And we already have these huge unfunded pension liabilities. And what concerns me, I'll say one more thing quickly, I'm running out of time. Infrastructure, infrastructure, infrastructure. We were going to be $300,000 underfunded, and that's budget 304 for street paving. And we need it. Holy cow, I'm putting up signs and going down some of these back roads to turn around. It's bad. We need to address that. It's still underfunded, by the way.
The hardest thing for a council member is to say, yes, let's increase taxes. Nobody comes into with a position saying, let's increase taxes, this will be fun, let's increase taxes on everybody. Nobody wants to do that. And the hardest thing to do is to come up with a way to fund some of the things that haven't been funded. We have not increased taxes before last year. I think the last increase was 05 or 04 or something like that. Taxes actually have gone down over the last number of years. We are about the 320th municipality in terms of tax rate, the lowest by 320. So we're among the lowest. I don't see that we'd have to raise taxes again in the next number of years. I think that we're in pretty good shape. We did overcut before, and so we had to come back with increases over the last couple of years. It was basically for infrastructure and for people and for OPEB. Worthy causes. We debated and debated and debated about how to do it, and the only way we could do it was with a tax increase. And I think it was worthy, but I don't think we need to do it again. Thank you.
Well, when it comes to taxes, I'm reminded of, and I'm paraphrasing here, the mission statement of the Taxpayers Association, that the role of government is to provide only essential services. And let's figure out how to fund those essential services. You know, it's funny, and I'm sure a lot of you know this figure. You know the opportunity cost of the rate differential in this community? It's over $20 million. Why raise taxes when we need to take a proactive approach in actually selling our Vero electric system, having competitive rates, and creating a better business climate in the city of Vero Beach so that our residents and our entrepreneurs can be better stewards and pay more taxes because they're making more money. I think there's always an alternative to raising taxes, and I will always look for that alternative. There's no excuse.
I want to make it perfectly clear, I am not interested in raising taxes. I do not want to do that. I want to take a comprehensive look at the budgets, the city of Vero Beach budget itself, as well as the enterprise funds. I want to make sure we have established short, medium, and long-range goals, and that we follow those. And part of those short, medium, and long-range goals should be financial goals as well. We can't afford to raise taxes. We don't need to raise taxes, and we need to stick to the essential services that government should be providing. One of the areas Mr. Kessler pointed One of the areas that I would like to see, I'm an advocate of public safety. I think that's an essential service that we need. I see some changes within the Vero Beach Police Department, some things that they need to do, some revenue streams that they need to have. And I would be in favor of working with the PD and providing public safety and doing it the best they can at the most efficient rate. But make no mistake, I am not interested in raising taxes, and I will do everything within my power to evaluate those budgets to make sure we don't do that. Thank you.
This summer, during the budget workshop, I attended every day. And also during the last 5 months, when I prepared to run for city council, I visited each one of the directors. And in the military, when you take command, you go down and you look at each one of the subordinate elements and you ask them what your mission is. And none of us want to raise taxes. None of us want to add additional dollars to the budget. But I will tell you, Vero Beach is efficiently run. And when the directors came to the city council, and they turned to Pilar, and they turned to Randy Old and Dick Winger, they had to justify their additions. And those justifications were sound. That logic and that rationale will continue with me. If you look at our quality of life, that should be the criteria for making our decisions. And since 2006, 27% of the personnel of Vero Beach has been cut. There's a term, troops to tasks. How many tasks can you assign to a business with the personnel that they have to support them? If you look at the airfield and you talk to Eric Minger, he is efficient. He's gone down, he's got part-time individuals assisting there. So the impact on Vero Beach impacts on all of us, whether it's inside the city limits or the shores or elsewhere. We will continue to run an efficient government. Thank you.
This question will start with Laura. The council, in a recent 3-2 vote, did not approve a $30 million partial sale to Indian River Shores of its current customer base there and utility infrastructure. What is your position on this issue, just the partial sale that we're discussing? Also, where would the sale proceeds be best used if you support the $30 million partial sale? Or why do you feel the higher price of $47 million is necessary if you support the rejection of the $30 million offer?
I supported publicly the partial sale. We discussed it at great length at the Utilities Commission meeting. We're blessed to have a Vice Chairman, Bob Allwater, who is very financially adept, understands and presents very well in terms of numbers. We had a full understanding and voted unanimously in favor of the partial sale. And again, we're an advisory board to the City Council. So very much in favor of it. And I spoke publicly that day, and that day, let me tell you, for 2 hours people spoke. The City Council mayor was a bit ungracious, telling them to line up against the wall, but God bless them, they did. And let me tell you, it's not our parks, it's not our beaches, it's not the cultural institutions, it's the people. They have not given up. They have not given up, and they're not going to give up, and they're not going to give out. And it was just, I was inspired by it. I really was. I spoke that day about the will of the people, because they've been waiting such a long time. I mean, I researched it. I looked back at the newspaper records back to 2010. This has just been going on way too long. And every time the number is proposed, somehow it's always the wrong number. You know, I mean, come on, it's not always the wrong number. So this is the first step. And most of the people who spoke, by the way, were in favor of it. And they weren't all from Indian River Shores. It was not that kind of thing. But they understood it's the first step in liberating everyone from these oppressively high rates. I mean, I've talked to people, they can't afford high-powered lawyers. They're just, God bless them, they're just average people here in the city, and it's just, they need relief. Thank you.
I voted against it. I suggested that we raised it to 47. 47 was a better number than 30 million. The difference was basically Bob Auer, who is a very bright man, who explained his view of the differences very well, and I don't agree with the differences that he summarized. One of them was, if you decrease the sales by 9%, then our total expenses would go down by 9%. We have several things that are fixed, like the rent, our utility area charges, or is charged by the airport, is fixed. It doesn't matter if sales go down, you still have to pay the same rent. The same with pensions. We still have pensions to do, so you can't reduce expenses proportionally with the amount of revenue that goes down. The other thing was inflation. He suggested was the 2%. Our rate specialist said 3% was the best inflation rate. I go along with those. I have to stick with our really good rate people that we have. We hired them, they're very good, and I go along with them. My fiduciary duty is to represent the people of Vero Beach, and Vero Beach would have been hurt by $17 million going on our ratepayers and making them pay higher rates. So I could not vote for the lower amount. Thank you very much.
So, very clearly and plainly, I am absolutely in favor of the partial sale. I think, as I mentioned earlier, one of the things that we have been lacking for far too long is a unified front. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an opportunity right now to vote in candidates who will bring leadership to the City Council and work with Indian River County and Indian River Shores, our new state representative, our new state senator, and all of the leadership in Tallahassee. For many of those who don't follow Tallahassee politics very closely, the environment, the climate right now, the timing could not be better. We have leadership that have taken a serious interest in trying to rectify this situation that we are in with the FMPA. I consider myself a young guy. I'm concerned with the future of this community. I've been here my whole life, but I have to be honest, this is not fair to our residents, represented ratepayers, unrepresented ratepayers, businesses that are hurting. There is no way that the City of Vero Beach as a utility will ever be competitive with someone like Florida Power and Light. How could we ever think that? It would be completely foolish. So I am in favor of the partial sale, and the reason is because I think that it is an opportunity to start chipping away at the stranglehold that the FMPA has on the City of Vero Beach. I'd like to see that partial sale go through, and I will work diligently with the City Council, I hope, that brings a majority that actually want to work to get this done to complete the full sale of our city utility. Thank you.
I'm in favor of the partial sale. This is part of the reason why I decided to run for office. I saw the $30 million kind of fading away with the direction of the City Council, and I want to make sure there's no misunderstanding here. I am in favor of the partial sale of Indian River Shores customers to FP&L. I'm also in favor, but we'll deal with that with the FP&L full sale. But I watched years ago as Stan Mayfield came to the City Council and brought $20 million to the table to do something to the sewer plant next to the bridge. And I saw that fade away. I saw the $30 million from the shore starting to fade away, and I said I couldn't do it. I believe in public service. That's why I stood up, and that's one of many reasons why I decided to run. I'm not going to let that $30 million go. If you talk about the $47 million, they're offering $30 million. I'm not willing to gamble with your money. Indian River Shores is in a lawsuit with us. It's going to go to the Supreme Court. Don't know if they're going to win or lose, but if they win, FP&L is only going to be required to pay $7 or $8 or $9 million for the infrastructure. So we've got a $30 million offer on the table. And the last time I looked, it's never a bad thing to put $30 million in the bank. I'm not willing to gamble with your money on losing a lawsuit and only getting $9 million when I've got $30 million on the table. And I don't think the rates are going to be that. I don't think it's going to affect the rates, us selling $30 million for 8.7% of the customer base. I am in favor of that sale.
I've spent a lot of time looking at the partial sale, and if you read in the paper, I said that I thought it was a missed opportunity because of the manner in which it was brought about. If you have an offer for $30 million and you believe it's worth $47 million, there's an opportunity to negotiate. The $47 million was not just pulled out of the sky. You have representatives in support of this city who had 150 years of municipal utility experience. If the decision was to sell at $30 million and it was worth $47, the $17 million would have been carried by the remaining 90% of those ratepayers. You would have taken the wealthiest community, maybe on the east coast of Florida, and given them a deal, and then you would have put the burden on the people that have fixed pensions that live in Oslo, west of town, Gifford, and given them a rate increase. I think that is reprehensible. If I were at the table, I would be conservative. I would not offer a deal that doesn't look out for the interests of all the ratepayers. Thank you.
I am not against a sale, but I am for everyone being treated equally. People have said the 30 million can go and pay, balance our pension. Well, that 30 million doesn't go into the general fund. That 30 million would go into the electric utility. If we have a full sale, which I really hope we can come to terms with at some point, then that money goes into the general fund. You have to know where the money is going. The 47 million that our experts said we needed to keep everybody healthy is what the city council was looking at. It's important that you listen to your experts. That's why you have them. The Finance Commission was never had an opportunity to make their recommendation. We had a 2-week window to accept or reject this offer. There just wasn't time to do due diligence on the offer. So I do stand for a full sale. I don't mind going legislatively to see what can be done with that MPA, but I would never vote to do anything that would not treat every ratepayer equally. Thank you.